So, welcome tonight. My name is Yvonne, and this is the first video blog from Assassin Soldier Recordings. We will present you some artists which are new on the label and give you some info about the person behind the music.
Okay.
Today, I'm very happy to have our guest here, and his name is Patrick Jargot, aka ELITRICKKIDS. Hello, Patrick.
Hello, how are you, Ivan?
I'm fine, thanks. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great.
Perfect, great.
It's nice to be here in the presence of you and ASR.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this short talking.
Me too. I was looking forward to it.
Yeah. So, give us a short introduction about yourself.
Well, so I'm from France. I grew up in Brittany. I started listening to house music in late '80s, early '90s, and I've never listened to anything else pretty much during that time. I grew up with it. Rave parties and all that stuff. I enjoyed it, and of course, after listening to all those artists and all those seeing all those DJs, I just wanted to be one of them. And it took a long time, but started DJing in the late '90s, and then music production didn't start till, I would say, in the early 2000s, until I met my wife, who was a music, who knew about music, was a singer and all that stuff. And I think that really motivated me, and she gave me a lot of support about it. And that's how I started making my own productions. And here I am now.
Great, perfect. So you said you come originally from France. So what is a French guy doing in the US?
Well, I pursued a different path. Music was always my passion. It still is. I love it to the core. I listen to techno non-stop. I enjoy it, whether it's the new stuff or the stuff from the 80s and the 90s. As far as my personal life, because of the way I grew up, I had to I was promoted, or not forced, but just, I guess, kind of a guilt way of you have to do something out of your life, and music or this is just, it's fun, but you got to do something else. And fortunately and unfortunately, in both ways, I did it. So I pursued an aviation career, and that's what brought me to the US. The music always just stayed with me, and I'm still pursuing it, and enjoying it, and never giving up on it.
Great. So how is the situation right now in the US? I mean, here in Germany we have this lockdown, all the shops are closed, a lot of people have to stay home. How is this over there? I mean, is this different?
It's different. It's
Really?
different. And where I am in Texas, it's a lot different. It's not the way I wish, or but well, it become the way I'd like to. But as far as just right now, in the area where I am, it's not. People are not very careful. They're not very. I think it's not as strict, and I think it should be. So it's so disappointing. But I know the city, Austin, Texas, is willing to go in that direction, a stricter directions, and be more precautious about things. But like the little town where I am right now, it's a little disappointing, and I wish it would be a little better than that, and I wish it would be more like Europe, but that's a personal personal thought.
So that doesn't mean you don't have so much like problems. I mean, a lot of people are at home here in Europe, in Germany, and a lot of people have already lost their jobs or will. So it's for a lot of people it's quite difficult. So you don't have this over there.
It's a lot of people have lost their jobs here, but I mean, even though I've been following the European news quite a bit, it seems like it's not as much as it is in Europe. And I'm not honestly, I don't know exactly how it is in Germany. I mean, I know more about France, just talking with my parents, and um, things are. I think it's all different in the U.S. Every state in the U.S. have different rules, which I personally don't agree with. But and then here in Texas, they're not. I think not as many people have lost their jobs, but the precautions that they've taken here are not as. I don't think they're as good. So it's hard to
Yeah,
it's hard to tell.
I totally understand you. As you are coming from France, I think you listened this that you had in France at New Year's Eve this huge party, this illegal party. What is your opinion about these kind of parties at the moment? I mean, in this pandemic, do we have to do this, or what do you think about it?
Honestly, I think we need to. I mean, we need to be careful. I understand the the will to gather, and I do have that yearning, or
Oh yeah.
well, yeah, and I understand that, and I guess it's kind of like a battle between your passion, or something you yearn for, and maybe something a little more kind of like I mean, responsible. I mean, I don't mean that those people are responsible, but uh, I do think that gatherings are not maybe the right way or the right thing to do, and I think nowadays we have so many more options and ways to entertain, or to get people to still enjoy their passions and still enjoy listening to good music, and do all that stuff, with still maybe limiting ourselves, or I mean, at the most maybe just limit the amount of people gathering together.
Yeah. Yeah, I think with all of these things they are doing, I mean, they provoke that all this lockdown will, go on for weeks. And I mean, we all are waiting that this finally ends, so we can have like a normal life again, and have maybe hopefully soon a party and stuff. That's why I think for me it's sometimes a little pity to see this, that a lot of parties, private parties are going on. You see this in the news here. I can understand this perfectly, but I mean, yeah, it's difficult.
And then if you think about it, like, you know what, if we just kind of like be patient, I mean, the day we start, it'll be like just so amazing. It'll be like such a huge celebration, and like I think you'll have such an euphoria about it. Just like getting together, and it'll be like so rewarding.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
that's what I'm looking forward to, or hoping for, is, even if I'm not part of it, but at least whoever is part of that moment, it should be like just so amazing. and celebratory, or just a huge, yeah, a huge moment that you will never forget.
So do you think the electronic music scene will change a little bit after all this pandemic is over?
Um, I don't. I don't know. I think it still be the same. Um, it, I think I've noticed the evolution of it, and I've kind of saw how it started, which um, there was no uh, I mean, all the social presence, there was none of it back then. It's just you're either there and you know about it, and you either buy the cassette or the CDs or the records. But other than that, you wouldn't even know about the artist or anything like that unless you were involved. And now with the social presence and all the Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and all that stuff, it just is. The evolution is it's I mean, it's easy to get buried in it. I think I think it's harder to come out of it in some way. It is you could be a super talented artist and just having a hard time just coming out of it. I think the pandemic, maybe the pandemic might allow to, in some extent, to some of the artists that haven't had physical presence might come out a little more. Just because since we don't have as much physical presence, scenes and rave parties and all that stuff going on right now, that maybe people are more into starting to listen to, spending more time listening to various artists and maybe discovering new artists. So I think it's hard for maybe the people that rely or that have been so present in the scene and physically and touring and all doing this stuff. And it might be, on the other hand, beneficial for the people that have been just more like invisible or among the thousands of artists that are trying to get their stuff out there, and I think I'm one of them among all others, but so and I know the pandemic is still very difficult because I know a lot of artists, just and so and I think it's still very difficult for any artists.
So do you think the pandemic has like an impact on the music sales? I mean, last year there was no party anymore. So do you think that because all the people are staying at home, they buy more music, or you don't think that this has any impact? What's your opinion about it?
Are you asking me if it impacted the sales?
In general, all the parties, no parties anymore. So, and the people had to stay in lockdown. So what is your opinion about the music sales? If you can buy a track from Beatport or something, do you think this increased because of the lockdown or not?
Oh, if it increased because of the lockdown or didn't? I think it did, because I think people maybe have more time to spend on starting listening. It's like, you know what, I got nowhere to go right now, so might as well build up my library and maybe spend more time listening on some things that I've never considered before. Or so I would think that, and I haven't looked at the numbers, maybe I'm wrong, but
but I was thinking about it, so I don't know. Maybe this can be really true, but on the other hand, if a lot of people lost their jobs, it's like not much money to buy music, but hopefully for everyone.
That's true. I think there's a balance, and I think maybe there is it might be the people that have enough to make it through, and maybe like spend time listening and maybe discovering new artists, and maybe there is the other portion of the people that might not have, just because of they lost their jobs, and their financial income has diminished, and they don't have as much of a chance to maybe to, you know, there's priorities in life, and maybe they had to sacrifice a little bit, and so I don't know where that line fits in, but you're right. Yeah, I guess I think there's those maybe there's those two sides.
Yeah. Okay. So I want to talk to you about you and your music now. My first question is, where does your artist name come from? Does it have a special meaning?
Where does what?
Your artist name come from? I mean, the idea behind your artist name.
Behind my artist name? Okay, so my artist name, ELITRICKKIDS. Ellie is my wife, and being a musician, and when I met her, that's when I really started producing music, because I didn't have anything. I did DJ before that, but when I met her, she had keyboards and samplers, and I started making my own stuff. And her music knowledge helped me just kind of improve and get better, and we did work on some projects together. And then Trick is my first name, Patrick. So. And then kids, we have a couple kids, and I thought they did get involved briefly on some stuff that I made a long time ago, and so I just put that name together, and it's just stuck with it now, and it's. Occasionally, I did think that I should change it because it was always mispronounced, or because it's always confused with electric. And but I made so many things, and I did so many things with under that alias that I stayed with it.
This is a really nice idea behind your name, and believe me, if someone knows your name, he will never forget it. So it's perfect, you know?
Exactly. And then I just noticed there's only one of them. So I was like, okay, well.
Yeah. So you said you are DJ since the 90s, and you started producing 2000, right?
No, yes, in the beginning of 2000s.
What do you prefer, producing or DJ?
I prefer to produce.
Really?
I do, yes. I enjoy DJing, but production is your creation. I think I always wanted to do that. I always wanted to make my own stuff from everything from myself, and DJing is. I mean, I enjoy it too, and I do it. And I think it's an art in itself to be able to do that and get a crowd just pent up, and I don't think anybody can do it. I think there's a process to it, but yes, making my own stuff that was my initial dream since I've listened to techno when I was a kid. Yes.
Then where do you get your ideas?
My inspirations, I've always been interested in minimal techno, so I think that's something that really attracted me. And living in the US and techno, and in Texas especially, but in the US in general, you're kind of a loner, and a little bit. the people here, it's not what a lot of people here. That's not what they listen to. It's not that branch of the of techno. And I think Germany, France, uh, um, Netherlands, I mean, just have more of this culture. And So my inspirations is that I don't know how to say it because I've always thought of like minimal. People would say what's boring. It's like, and I'm like, no, it's not. It's just you have to kind of listen to those subtle changes and so inspire like you mean like artists or just
Yeah,
like just
maybe you, I don't know, you listen some other music and then you think, oh, this melody is like inspiring me to do this or something like this, or yeah, or other artists. Could be as
uh, I don't know. It's just I like the repetitive um, um, rhythm, but I like to have some kind of like evolutions in it, either subtle or not, or not subtle. But I do enjoy that. As far as artists, I think the first artist that really got me was Surgeon, and when I got his records, it kind of like it just kicked in, and I've always kind of use that, I guess, as an inspirations for um, uh, at least when I started. Now I have a lot more artists, including Israel, and that have kind of give me like a lot of new ideas and ways on how to do things.
right. Okay. So let's talk about a little bit about your EP on your Destin Social recording. It's called Rebooted, correct?
I'm sorry, the what?
Your EP is called Rebooted.
Yes.
So, tell me something about it.
I guess it was this. I guess I was trying to go minimal, and I was trying to go. I don't know, powerful but minimal, with subtle changes, and I don't it's been it's been a while since I made this track, and I think I was working. So when I work, I'm away from home. I have to stay at hotels. I was bringing my computer with me, and I did bring my sampler with me one time, and an audio card, and it was very like challenging to bring all this stuff with me when I was going to work. And I just did those tracks, and I recorded some stuff at home before, and I honestly don't remember when it happened, but I listened to it several months later, and I was like, "Wow, did I really make that, or it's just like I don't even remember I made this."
Okay.
And then I was really excited about it. I was like, "Wow!" And then knowing your label, and then what kind of music you were making, I was like, you know what, I would love to maybe have this released on your label, and so I sent it in, and then I guess Israel like it. I'm not sure who listens to it. Like I've had an email from Ilk.
Yeah, she's working for us, right? But of course, Israel is listening to.
Okay.
So
So
we are very happy to have you here. So we really look forward to listen. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
So I was just, and then when I got the response, I mean, I was so ecstatic. I mean, it was just like the best day of my life, or like just a great moment for me.
Great. So tell me, where can people find you? You know, if people are interested in your music and in you, do you have like a website or only Instagram or something?
I don't. I just
Facebook?
have I just have Instagram and SoundCloud and Facebook, and I have a lot of stuff on a place called Number One Music.
Uh-huh.
Um, I don't know if it's popular in Europe or not. I know it is here. I've done some work with like a total different things with tribal music and belly dancing because my wife was involved with belly dancing. So I made a whole album with a pretty well-known artist in the belly dancing community, which was more like tribal slash kind of a mix of electronic and tribal and then Middle Eastern sounds but it's on CD Baby. I kind of have different little spots, and I'm not that great with all that stuff. Honestly, I try to keep up with it, but I have a hard time, and I'm not good at using it, or like I try to promote stuff, but I don't think I'm the best at it.
Oh, I can understand. Yeah.
But definitely, I mean, Beatport. I've done some also with some other German labels, which have been very supportive too. But yeah, Beatport, SoundCloud, Facebook, Instagram. So if people want to follow me there, that's the place to go to.
Okay. Great.
Yes, and I don't have my own website. I considered it. I felt like I didn't have enough presence yet to maybe start it.
Yeah, I think you should a little bit more. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know it's a lot of work to do all this marketing on social media. Yeah, but I think it's worth it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe I'll consider it and start working on it. So I think I'm feeling a little bit. I'm falling a little bit behind the curve a little bit, but.
So I think we almost reached the end of our conversation. Is there anything you want to say?
Well, I'm so happy to have to see so many people are so supportive of the techno music environment, and it's grew. And I mean, I know the social media changed a lot of it, but I think a lot of it it's in a good way. I think it allowed a lot of people to show their talent, and then I'm very honored to be part of the ASR label. For me, it's just a very big accomplishment. And I think it gave me a lot of motivations lately. So I've been very hopped up about it and excited and looking forward for either future releases or just to see what happens.
Yeah. So perfect. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for this really interesting talking.
Thank you, Yvonne. It's been a pleasure talking to you. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. So I wish you good luck, your family, your kids, your friends. Stay healthy, and so hopefully we can talk in the future again. It was a pleasure.
Thank you very much for the interview. And then I'm wishing you, all of you guys, health, stay safe, and then success in the future.
Yeah, thank you, man. Thank you very much. Okay.
Bye.
Bye.